Welcome to Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. He is Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips. And Phil, we kind of got to talking a little bit about legacies over the past week or so. I think one notably was Rory McIlroy creating a legacy for himself, going back to back for the Masters. The legacy that Michigan basketball left, an incredible win, of course, by UCLA beating what is a legacy program at this point and creating one of their own as they progress. You think about championships and the way these people have just cemented themselves with lifelong legacies. We have a guest today who is, by all accounts, left a legacy.
No doubt about that.
A true legend in the game. But it's interesting to see how someone can kind of cement that and make that conversation concrete.
And as I watched those things happen, and then had occasion to be in and around the Philadelphia area at some events, I thought about each individual person. You don't have to be the best player at UCLA or the best player at South Carolina, or you don't have to be at Michigan to say, well, we're compared to the Fab Five or we're compared to the 89 national champion. I think that all of us are charged with this idea. Do something that will leave a mark that outlasts your life. Do something. And so these are some places where I've been. The Markwood Club. They've been around forever. Joe Rabzinski was with us earlier in the year. They've been around honoring high school basketball players and coaches. I went to their end of year luncheon. It's mind-blowing to think of all the people who have sat in that room or been honored with these awards. North Catholic has been closed for X number of years. This is the 100th year anniversary of the school being started. And the Alumni Association invited me to their breakfast. There were over 500 people there. Over 500 people. The Alumni Association and all of these schools that you think, well, they're gone. St. James, they have a clubhouse still in Delaware County. It fascinates me. Legacies. The Philadelphia Labor Classic. I was a member of their selection committee and helped with the dinners. And they had programs there. And you flip through and say, wait, that guy played in this game? And then they started the girls, and the girls played in this game. A number of the coaches for this year's would come back and say, I played. They had a game, the Union Laborers versus Philadelphia Basketball Legends. Names like Arzins played in that game. It's all this legacy. And then the Coaches versus Cancer Gala, 23rd year. And some people in that room, yeah, we were at the first one. So again, you don't have to be on the highest and the mightiest of stages like Rory McIlroy or UCLA basketball, Michigan basketball. What you have to do is leave your mark. Leave your mark in such a way that it will outlast your life. Pretty cool that you brought that up.
I really love the way you phrase that, and almost to me sounds like it could potentially be
very well thought out by you, because the Martelli Minute comes out every day,
every single day,
6:30. Phil_Martelli on Instagram. Still sponsored, actually double sponsored. Dale Carnegie. We still have an opportunity for someone to take in that course. And Status Solutions, making our schools safe for our children to learn. Man, that's a legacy. That's a real legacy. But the Martelli Minute, every day. Not every other day. We don't miss. So here we go. Take pride in being a lifelong learner. To be unbeatable, team, individual, organization, never give up. To be unbeatable, never give up. Commitment separates the doers from the dreamers. And pay attention. You're going to work on your listening skills here. Don't repeat something else that I thought he said this. No, I'm going to repeat it twice. Be a hope dealer. Catch that little thing? Be a hope dealer. Make the decision right now to chase knowledge. Don't chase things, chase knowledge. Always be alert and aware. And then, coming back to the original point, leave a mark that lasts longer than your life. Create a legacy.
The Martelli Minute, brought to you by Status Solutions every morning at 6:30 a.m. on Instagram at Phil_Martelli. And our guest has absolutely left a mark on the game of basketball.
Well, you know that the guest segment is always number one. And all the feedback we get, they'll say, how did you get that person? And this person said that. And this is an unusual one because we have had Hall of Famers, but we haven't had Hall of Famers who were just announced in the last 2 weeks. But we have a Hall of Famer joining us. Like, that's the best of the best in the world of basketball, in any sport, to be labeled a Hall of Famer. We also have a Philadelphian, one of a kind, man, one of a kind, a community giver. If anything's involving giving back to the community, front and center, our guest will be there. A husband, a father, a grandfather. His greatest gift, and I've never told him this before, but his greatest gift is friendship. Wherever you go, in basketball world, officiating world, the Philadelphia and Delco, you know, that's like a big deal. Everybody will say, my friend is Joe Crawford. We are joined by all of those things. The greatest of friends. He has a gift for it, and he's going to share it with us. Joe, thanks for joining Make a Difference.
Thank you for having me.
This is a really, really special. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And for all the people out there, they may know you now as Hall of Famer Joe Crawford. You take us through your path. How did you get there? How did you get to Naismith from humble beginnings?
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. You know, I just wanted to ref. I wanted to be an NBA ref. 16, 17, whatever it was. You know, I came from that household. My father was a pro baseball umpire. If I was going to say that I wanted to be a pro anything, he'd say, shut the hell up. Go ref. You know what I mean? He just, you know, he knew what it took to be a pro basketball player or a pro baseball player. So he said, go ref. So that's what I did. I mean, I just said, this is what I'm going to do. Got out of high school, tried college for a semester, just came back and just started reffing. I mean, that's what I did. And I started, my first game was St. Leonard's, then at 36th, and I think it was Chestnut, and a one-person game. And I just started doing CYO games, as many as I could get. But back then, Phil, you know that. I mean, you had the bus drivers league, you had a cop league, you had a fireman league. I worked bankers up at Penn Charter, and a guy punched me one weekend. He punched me right in the side of the face. So, but that's all I wanted. I wanted to be an NBA ref, and I watched NBA refs. We were lucky in Philly back then. We had that TV that UHF channel. And I can't remember what it was, Channel 48 or something. We had pro games on, and I watched them. I watched the refs. I watched Eddie Rush and those guys when they were Eddie was a kid. Eddie got in the NBA when he was 25. I got in when I was 26. So that's the guy I looked at. I actually tried to call plays like him with his left hand, and I wasn't even left-handed. It was just
Chills.
it's insane. And then to make it, and then this, my God,
Yes.
when you just started it, I've been welling up ever since they called me on the 30th. You well up as soon as somebody says Hall of Famer. And I mean, it just fascinates the hell out of me. But refereeing was my bag. I just loved it. I loved it.
So, Joe, why hoops? Right? You said this, that you had baseball in your family, not only your dad, but your brother. Why hoops, though?
My neighborhood. I started playing at St. Pius. That was my parish, but I hung with everybody at Sacred Heart because it was closer to my house. So I was playing 7th and 8th grade at Pius, but I would always go over to Sacred Heart. They had 2 courts right next to the school, and that's all we did was play, And and you grew. You knew that Phil Martelli was from where he was from. You knew that when you were from Havertown. You knew who the players and all that were in that era. You knew where they were from. And I did too. And I couldn't make O'Hara's team back in the day. They were too good. It was Tommy Inglesby and Ozinski and those guys. And I couldn't play with those guys, but I could ref with them. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ref in the NBA. That's what I wanted to do. I could go back and tell you guys, I had a prelim game of the Sixers, and I was like a pig in shit. I'm a 20-year-old kid, and they're playing a CYO game at the Spectrum, and I'm working the first game, and the Sixers are, and I'm sitting there when the refs came out. I wasn't even worried about the players like Freddie Carter and those guys. I'm looking at, and I'll never forget it. He didn't last long in the pros. His name was Lenny Wirtz. He was an ACC ref. Worked a lot of college games. He left the pros and went back to college. He was the ref that night in the NBA, and I'm watching. That's what I wanted to do.
Wow, I didn't know he worked in the NBA.
Oh yeah. He worked. Yeah, Lenny Wirtz. Yeah, he worked. I don't know how many years, maybe 1 or 2, and then he went back to college.
Jared won't remember this, but you and I would remember this. Spectrum, East Regional, young John Calipari coaching UMass.
Wow.
Against a blue blood, I forget who it was. Lenny Wirtz was the referee.
Wow.
In a crucial part of the game, Joe, he gave Calipari a technical foul.
Yeah.
For landing, because he jumped. He jumped for landing outside the coaching box.
Yeah.
By a foot.
Yeah.
Cal will remember it. I guarantee he'll remember that.
Well, he'll remember it, but that's probably why Lenny Wirtz didn't last long in the pros.
Yeah, there you go. I got chills when you talk about the playgrounds and going there every day. And it didn't matter if you were on the team or not. Like I go back in my memory and say, well, I went to Lansdowne Alden every day.
Yeah.
And when I think about maybe through the week, there might be 30, 40 guys that showed up to play pickup on different days. I was the only one that even played high school, let alone college. I often stop and think about that. You know what? I'll say something. You know what? I only played Division III. No. I played college basketball, man.
No, Division III. If you played Division III, you were a big-time guy.
Yes.
From our neighborhood, the first guy that went out, he was a few years older than me, was Billy Zeitz. He wound up being at the prep. Mm-hmm. Billy was, all right, so I'm 70 at 5. Billy's 78 now. But Billy was a scholarship, went to the prep. He didn't go to O'Hara or Bonner. He went to the prep. And when he got out of the prep, he was Calvin Murphy's backcourt mate at Niagara. Now I see Calvin Murphy. Well, I refed him. I said, Calvin, who's my buddy? He goes, who? I said, Billy Zeitz. He goes, Billy Zeitz! Yeah. That was like a pride thing. And then my brother-in-law, he was an O'Hara guy. he wound up playing at Rutgers. And he was this like the second scholarship guy out of the neighborhood. It was you were so proud. And then Franny O'Hanlon, he moves into the neighborhood from Tommy Moore, but he became us. So now he's at Villanova. We're like rooting for Franny O'Hanlon. You didn't have to play for Ohio. You knew that those guys were better than you. You knew you were not delusional, but you just said these guys are better, man. They're better.
The power of this ball, like I just
it's unbelievable.
It look where it's taken you and I. And
oh my God, Phil,
the power of the ball.
Monty McCutcheon, my boss, smart guy, refed with him for 30 years. He's got this saying: it's about the game, then it's about the crew, which is the 3 refs, then it's about you, but it's about the game.
Yeah,
it's the game, and once you start altering that, you go by the wayside. The game is the key. The game is the key. Double headers. My father would take me down to the double headers at Convention Hall, and the pros were they weren't drawing anybody. College basketball was the big deal back in the early '60s, and he'd take me down for double headers, and those refs would come out. He'd say, "That's Earl Strom.
Yes,
that's Richie Powers." He and then I just would sit there as like an 11-year-old kid watching the refs. And it was just your history. It was just the game. You hit it on the head, Phil. You hit it on the head. The game.
The power of the game. So Joe, Jared's not going to know, but I know that. Run us through these mentors, and what did you take from these different guys along the way?
Well, when you started back in those days, you had to work 9th grade in the Catholic League. You didn't start JV or no, 9th grade. So I'm working everywhere, 9th grade games. And then the next year, it would get back, and the guy that was the assigner was a guy by the name of Ed Panic. Mm-hmm. And now he would start giving you the JV games. But you didn't skip steps.
No, you didn't.
You didn't skip steps. And those guys that Joe Hannon and Jimmy Armstrong and those guys would take you, you'd walk in, a JV game, and you'd walk in, and those guys to you were like gods. They're working the varsity game, and you're going to sit there and learn from them. And they would give you different tips about what you're doing and how you can improve yourself and your interactions with coaches and players. And then as it evolves and you think you get Phil, I tell people this and they don't believe me. Jared, this is wild. I have 3 box scores, and I've worked pro basketball games that are off the charts basketball games that are history. I got 3 box scores. Oh, Catholic League title game, Public League title game, and City title game, all in 1 year. And the next year I was in the NBA. And I have those 3 box scores that Ted Solari got for me. Ted was this guy that was awesome. And I called him, it was years later. I said, Ted, do you think you could get me those box scores? He got me those box scores. I said to my wife, I got the 3 box scores. She goes, would you do me a favor and get the hell away from me? You're talking about box scores. And I said, this means like the world to me, But that was Philly. That was like I could tell somebody, listen, I worked the City title game.
Yes, sir.
Gene Banks played in that game. Are you kidding me? And I've had Gene Banks in the pros. Like he'll call me. He'll say, you had the game. I got 40 points in when I was playing for San Antonio against the Lakers. I said, Gene, I don't care. I worked the City title game. It's crazy.
So that kind of is there a most memorable game and / or player that you say, you know what, that I could check out now because that happened. That game happened. That player.
Phil, when you get into this and you're in the pros, you want to get to the finals. And I was one of those guys that really lucked out. I'm in the finals in my 9th year in the NBA, which was unbelievable. And I'm working that first finals game, and I'm with Jake O'Donnell, and it's Boston, Houston in 1986. And I'm telling you what, I don't know if I had any business being out there, but Jake went like this: "Get on my back, bro. I got you." And it's the finals game, and it was utopia. And now what happens is now you're fed. Now you want not that one game, you want 2 games in the finals.
Right.
Now you don't get that 2, you want that 3rd game in the finals. So then you want that game 7. So Eddie Rush and I were talking about it last night. I was on his channel last night. We worked game 7. It was the Knicks, Houston, when John Starks went like 4 for 21, the poor guy. And Eddie and I worked game 7 with Hubert Evans. And when people have no idea, there's no more games. There's no more games. That this is it. And I had 3 of them. And I think if you look at the history of the NBA, the last 50 years, there may have been 10 game 7s in the finals, and I had 3. So you're Jake O'Donnell did not have a game 7 in the finals. His career. This guy's one of the greatest referees ever. And when I got the game 7 over him, I got it. He called me and he said, he went like this. He said, "You better cherish that, you son of a bitch." he said, because, and this is a Clifton guy. He's a Clifton guy. That's where Jake grew up. He said, because I haven't had one yet, and you got one. And he said, and he never got one. He never got one. And as soon as he said that to me, I went, wow, holy schmoly. I got a game 7, but I'm looking at it as a ref. I mean, Phil, look at all the stuff you did in your career. Come on, undefeated and stuff like that. I mean, that's now you're coach and you're out there. But a ref, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. You know what you did is just off the charts. That's as close as it can to playing what you did. But reffing to me was the juice. That was the juice.
And Jarrett, what he is leaving out is that in the next month, if you go around to an AAU tournament or a 5th and 6th grade, Joe Crawford's going to be there. He's going to have the exact same juice for that game. That's why this whole thing about the basketball, the ball, it's the ball.
Yeah.
It's the game for Joe.
It's really,
people in the game.
You know, you're not going to believe this, but I can't believe you said what you just said. I get done the game and I fly home and we're having our AAU stuff at O'Hara. So I get home and my wife says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going up to O'Hara. We're playing up there." So I get in the car, going up, and she's like looking at me like, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" So I go up there and the floor's wet. So who the hell's going to do it? Nobody's going to do it. So I'm out there and I'm doing the floor, and here comes this guy. Then here comes this guy. I'll never forget it. Phil just said it to me. He comes up to me and he says, "Didn't I just see you last night?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're cleaning the floor." I said, "Well, you want to do it? You do, take it to clean the floor." But who was going to do it? I mean, but Phil hit it. It's the game. Those kids didn't freaking care about what I did the night before.
Joe, I told this story recently. I'm a junior at the St. Joe Prep. It's 1971. We play in the city title game,
Wow.
11 o'clock game at the Palestra against Overbrook.
Wow.
With 6 Division I players, and their highlight guy is Andre McCarter.
Sure.
Right? We play at 11 o'clock. I have Mo Howard. They have all these guys. They beat us. We go home. I go back to Lansdowne. Really nice day. You know, maybe it's obviously in March. It's a really nice day. And I look, and the game is on TV, tape delayed at 1:00. And I go home and I look around and I go, all right, I'm out. I'm going to Lansdowne to play. And I'm down there playing, pick up the whole bit.
Right.
And a kid comes down and goes, what are you doing? He said, you're on TV right now. I said, yeah, I know. I was at the game. I know what happened. I don't have to watch it again.
That's a classic. That's awesome. But Phil, you're 100% correct. It's the game. It does something to you, and I didn't have, like I said, I knew where I was in the totem pole, and those guys like Inglesby and Hazinski and my brother-in-law and all those guys that played O'Hara, they were like stars to us. We bust their chops, but they were stars. They were. Really knew that they were good players. You knew they were better than you. That's awesome.
Young people out there. You and I have had this conversation. Young people, why would they get involved, and how do they get involved in following your path, Joe? How do they give back to the game by refereeing?
Yeah, I try to do as much as I possibly can to promote it, because we're losing the battle. The refereeing is gone by the wayside because people aren't doing it. They don't want to take the crap. People are getting punched. They're doing AAU tournaments, and craziness is happening. But I try to do as much. I tell refs, please don't quit. Call me before you quit. I went up to Coatesville 3 months ago, and they had like a job fair. And the lady called me. My grandson hung around with her son, and I went up there and set up a table.
Wow!
And with handing out stuff, I called the PIAA, which I'm very friendly with. I think he just retired. Bob Lombardi, who runs all of the PIAA sports, and he sent me everything, like cards and stuff. And I just set up a table. Then I got the NBA. Give me whatever you have, so that a kid stops at my table, because now the kids are finding out it's Joe Crawford, the NBA ref, and they're all coming by, and I'm busting their chops. I was killing them, and I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And then they started. All they care about, how much do you make? And I go like this: "You shut the hell up about the money." But so I'm trying. A young Joey Lindsay texted me today. He's refereeing. His grandfather refed with me. Joey was a big NCAA ref, and his uncle Mark is an NBA referee, and Joey's trying to get in. And there's 2 other kids that I'm really mentoring hard, and they're good. The kids that do it and take it up, they get good because they have the computer. They go on YouTube and watch refs. There's a number of kids that call me and they'll say, Mr. Crawford, I got my games on YouTube. Can we Zoom and do the game? I said, of course. You don't do it long. You don't do it long. You just do it like 30, 45 minutes and just talk to them about refereeing.
Joe, I want to add, like, connecting to the kids. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's like some pretty amazing, I got to call them mixtapes or highlight reels of you out there with some of your most, I'd say, theatric calls. I mean, do you feel like that helps a little bit when people see that you have such a joy and such a love for the game?
You know what? It probably does. But when I was going through the stuff in that tape, did they show the ones where I was buying the fans a beer? Well, no. When it came into vogue, you would have the waiters or the waitresses right like 10 rows up, and they took care of all the people. So I always carried my money on the court, because everywhere I went, the older referees would say, what the hell are you got to carry your money out there. You can't, they break into the room, they steal your money. So I would always carry my money and put it in my pocket. So you'd be out there and the guy would be killing me. Crawford, you suck. And I would call the waiter over and I'd give him like $25. And I said, get him a beer and you keep the change. It was awesome. But you know what? I got a phone call from David Stern. He said, "You will not do that anymore."
Oh man.
That is not what referees do.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I have two to give you, Joe, to like put in your story packages, and then I have two more questions. But the first one is this: Ed Panic was the assigner of referees.
Yeah.
In the Catholic League.
Yes.
He eventually was the assigner of referees in the Atlantic 10.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I got sent to the Atlantic 10 meetings one year. I'm Jim Boyle's assistant. I get sent to the meetings.
Wow.
And go to mass on a Sunday. The meetings are going to be in the afternoon. Go to mass. And Ed Panic is in mass. And we start up the aisle. And it was a lay Eucharistic minister. And Ed Panic switched lines to be in line for the priest.
Oh,
because
yeah.
he was of the ilk. Like, no. I don't take communion from a lay person.
From a lay person. It doesn't surprise me.
Right or wrong, Joe? Like that was.
No, he was. I had to pick him up when I had the Catholic League title game. The ritual was, because Ed didn't drive, I don't think. So the guy said to me, "Joe, you're going to have to pick Ed Panic up and take him to the palestra." And I said, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm going to have people. I'm going to go to the game." He said, "No, you got to take him back to and back to his house."
And
so I did. I went and picked him up and took him to the game.
There you go. And then the other thing that happens is the names that he mentioned, right? The names that he mentioned. Joe Lindsay, the father, not the referee. Joe Lindsay refereed me when I was in 7th and 8th grade.
Exactly.
And then you look up and you say, "Oh, I recognize him freshman year." And then you say JV. Right, Joe? That was the same path. The same guys.
Yes.
The same guys refereed me in 7th and 8th grade.
Yes.
And worked all the way up. And then when I went to Widener, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I remember." And they will say to you, "Hey, remember that game against St. Kevin's or something like that?" Like,
Michael Brooks, God bless his soul, I reffed him and then reffed him in freshman at West Catholic. And then he gets to the pros with the Clippers, and we're both looking at one another on the court like this. How about this? I mean, it was just, I mean, some of this, Phil's hits it. Phil understands because he was there and he has the same kind of love for the ball, and that's what it is. That same love.
Joe, next to the last question, you filled us in a little bit. The moment in time when they call.
Oh, God.
Joe Crawford, you're a Naismith Hall of Famer.
Okay. They're doing a documentary on me, okay? And I told them, I said, I was a former mailman, and you're doing a documentary on me. So I tell the people, listen, this is when the call is going to come, and it's a production company out of Atlanta. So they were going to do these. They're 4 days at my house. So they move it up because I know I'm going to get the call, and they don't know what the call is going to be. You don't know what the call is.
Right. That's exactly right.
It can be a down or it can be an up. And then they said, "Joe, would you mind if we would record it?" And I said, "No, I don't mind at all." So they're there, and the 4 cameras, the whole 9 yards, and they're calling between 12 and 2. And they're talking to me. They get there at 9 in the morning, and we're talking for 3 hours. And then here it comes at 12:02. Not like I'm counting. And I see the phone, and it says 12:02, and it's from Massachusetts, where John DeLeva is. That's where it's situated. And I just hit it. I said, "Here's the call." And then, "Hello, Joe. John DeLeva." I went, "Hi, John. How you doing?" He goes, "Welcome to the 2026 class of Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Well, I'm starting to cry now. So I just was like a blubbering idiot. And my wife was sitting next to me. She grabbed me when they're hugging. And they have this all on tape, and I haven't seen it. And I don't know if I want to see it. But it was. And then you go blank, Phil. Phil, you go blank. Jared, you go back blank. Because it's so above you. You know, you read these people, you know, all these people that are in this. You're reading about this for years. Hey, I'm a basketball guy. I know about Paul Harrison and Tom Gola and Wilt Chamberlain, and I'm going back to those guys. And now it's Joe Crawford, and I went, oh my Lord, have mercy. And right now I'm welling up, and it was just way.
Yeah,
I'm still not down from it, to be real honest with you. Yeah. It's a great question, Phil.
And sworn to secrecy, right? Don't tell anybody.
You can't tell anybody until they want it announced on ESPN.
Right.
They want it announced at halftime of that first game on Thursday night, I think. Yeah. It's Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah, it's
Saturday, excuse me. And now when you get to the Final Four, because they let you and your wife go, now you're meeting, they say, come on down and you're going to meet at 3:00 or 4:00. I walked in the room and Doc Rivers is there, and he said, I guess you got in.
right.
You didn't know who got in. Nobody knew who got in. They didn't. Yeah. And I said, Doc, you got in, huh? And then Mark Few was there, the coach of Gonzaga, which I don't know the guys. And then Amari Stoudemire, obviously I reffed him, and Mike D'Antonio, and Shamiqua Holtzclaw, and Candace Parker. And Elena Deladon couldn't make it. So she had a previous commitment.
Yep. They swear you to secrecy to the point.
Yeah.
Then when Immaculata called Judy, we were going to the Final Four anyway, because I was there for business with the NABC. And we had a layover somewhere, and her face, and she said, look, I'm not allowed to tell anybody, but I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. I told my wife,
we're going in. The team is going in.
Yeah.
And so then it became like, well, who's accepting on behalf of the team? You're the only one here. The other.
Yeah.
So she accepted on behalf of her team. And meanwhile, Joe, like I'm schlepping around the coach's lobby, and people are saying, yo, your wife was on the court. Yeah. I said, well, she's Hall of Fame. I'm Hall of Shame, but that's all right.
It was really overwhelming. And then you're seeing everybody on the court. I mean, everybody on like Billy Rafferty, and everybody's waving, Grant Hill, everybody's waving because, I reffed everybody, and it was just really, 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 really cool.
Wow.
Really cool. Really cool. And the Hall of Fame people, wow.
Yeah, they're
way.
People often say, well, that was well-deserved. And I say, no, you're missing the point. It was well-earned. And in Joe Crawford's case, Hall of Fame, well-earned. And Joe, we finished this segment with one question. Who's made a difference in Joe Crawford's life?
I tell him all the time. Steve Javy has made a difference for me. I don't. He gets very embarrassed when I say it to him. He's just a guy that I reffed with him. I respected him when I reffed with him, but then he got married late in life. I was in his wedding. We vacationed together, and then this guy has showed me what class is. He became a deacon in the Catholic Church. He studied for 7 years in his after he retired from NBA reffing, and there's nothing that I can't call Steve and talk about. And Steve has seen me in my worst, and has never turned his back, and has counseled me. He's just a wonderful guy, and I love him to death. And you know what, Phil? Thank you for asking that question, because I don't express it enough to Steve, which I should.
And then, so we're always educating. I turn to Jared and I'll say this. Steve Javi, you know him as an NBA official and on the TV and the whole bit. Okay. The biggest game in Montgomery County was Bishop Kenrick,
Yeah.
Norristown High School. Every year for how many years I was there? 6 or 7 years. The referee, every Norristown Bishop Kenrick game, Steve Javi.
And I never
This
even
all
knew
ties together.
and I never even knew that.
Yep.
And you saying it, and I've told people this because they always want to know who was the greatest referee you ever worked with, and I say Steve Javi. And I've reffed with Eddie Rush, Joe Gashu, Lee Jones, Jake O'Donnell, all of them. And Steve just had it, and he always said that I was the reason that he was successful, because he worked with me in his initial years. And that's not true. He was just an awesome referee when he walked into the NBA. He just knew from day one.
Joe, thank you. But more important than that,
thank you.
Thank you for your dear friendship.
No, thank you for yours, Phil. I really appreciate it, and your wife is a terrific lady, by the way, too.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jared. Thanks for setting this up.
Of course, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Incredible stuff. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that was the names, the memories, the ball. As I said in the interview, that the ball is the thing. And think about it. In the schoolyards, from the schoolyards of Havertown to Naismith Hall of Fame. And we didn't even get a chance to connect about his family. His daughter is the principal at St. Mary Magdalene. He has a son-in-law coaching at LaSalle College. Joe Crawford and Mary Crawford, thank you, because our guest segment, which is always here, was elevated again.
One of those many guests that could have been 2 hours if he had the time and the patience for us. I mean, stuff that I wanted to hear who was the biggest pain in the butt that'd be in his ear through the years, that he was just like, get out of my face. I don't want to hear you. And also the one thing that I don't know if we've ever gotten up, has there been any investigative journalism piece on why 50% of NBA refs come from Delco? Like what is going on there?
Mafia.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Every greatest ref in NBA history is legitimately come from Delaware County. It's bonkers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Joe, thank you, and congratulations, Hall of Famer.
An unbelievable achievement. I guess that brings us to our Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner. So as I thought about this, seasons are over, X's and O's, you put that stuff away, not watching film, you're organizing your summer camp, your summer plans for your teams, whether you're college, high school, or youth programs, male, female. I'm going to ask everybody out there, check your communication style. Are you so into the texting or emailing, and are you assuming that is beneficial? I would ask you to think about labeling your contacts, and I'll label them this way. Whom can you call at any time for any reason? Flat tire, 2:00 in the morning. somebody took ill, they might have a connection to a doctor. Who in your contacts? It's not everybody, and I'm not knocking anybody that's not. And then think about it the flip side. Whose call will you take? Whose call will you take? That's a true communication style. That's not superficial. The other thing in your communication style, am I connecting? So if you're in a school, if you're in a company, am I connecting in a positive way with each person that I need to connect with? And not just connecting when it's a deadline or an emergency. Am I connecting? Am I connecting? And I think the other thing, and I applaud people that do this, the thought process that goes into planning communicate. Hey, I haven't heard from so-and-so in a while. Let me reach out. And all of us will admit, when we get a call unexpectedly, it lifts you. Because you think, you know what? This wasn't just a transitory relationship. We weren't just passing in the night. We were really connecting. And when people ask me, what is it that you miss about coaching? I miss building these relationships, but I really miss the day-to-day communication that comes with this. Someone walks in and says to you, do you have a minute? What they're really asking you is, hey, can you help me out? And to have that kind of relationship where someone would think of you when they say, do you have a minute, is powerful. I hope that all of your communication is powerful to each and every one. So yes, it applies to coaches, and it applies to principals and teachers and CEOs and moms and dads and sons and daughters. Communication style, check it. It's a good time now. It's a little bit more relaxed for everybody. Check your communication style.
I was going to say, as you get to that off season, it's not always a chicken in on a guy to say, how are those workouts going, right? It's just, how are you?
Yeah, that's right. It. Just leave it out there. How you doing? How you doing? And like in the world of college basketball, I just fear like because of this portal, because of the money, we're moving away from real, authentic communication. Let's do a better job, all of us. And we're going to keep the coaching corner going. I think, what would you're the editor-in-chief here, or the chief producer.
I'm the producer, but I mean, it's you're driving the bus, man. I think if you got coaching corner, if you got coach's corner tidbits to give us even through the off season, I think it's been a welcome addition. So we can talk more about it, but I think we keep rolling with it as long as
I like your
as long as you got some nuggets.
I like your thought process there.
Yeah, there's just as much work to do in the off season as there is in season.
No question about it. It makes your work in the season easier if you spend a productive off season.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Now it's your off season now, but is it ever really an off season?
Well, I've been a few places. First of all, loaves and fishes. Give your excess to Access in Chester. We're coming out St. Mary Magdalene Sunday, April 26th. Why? April 25th, First Communion, St. Mary Magdalene. We just put out a social media blast on this. You're having a party, celebrating your sons or daughters' First Communion. Sunday morning, the 26th, we'll have members of this St. Mary Magdalene community collecting those 300 pretzels that you ordered and they didn't go. We got it. You have a half a case of water, we'll take it. Sister Maggie and Sister Kathy, guest on the podcast last year. We're going to collect on April 26th, the 3 morning masses Excess to access. Loaves and fishes. You got it. We're delivering. Half a tray of hoagies. Whatever you have. We are so grateful to St. Mary Magdalene, John Gill, Deacon Joe, agreeing to join us again. And how about this little nugget? We're coming back in the graduation season. So it's first communion now, but we'll be back in June for graduation season because our brothers and sisters in Chester need our help, and we're going to be there for them. So thank you to everybody involved with Loaves and Fishes. I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I went to the Markwood luncheon. The people and the memories and the joy to celebrate high school, boys and girls players, city and suburban, public and Catholic. So I was there for that wonderful event. Then the All-Star Labor Classic. All-Star Labor Classic started with the Union guys versus Philadelphia Legends, followed by the boys game, followed by the girls game. And right before the girls game, I had the absolute honor to introduce a grandmother who was there to watch her grandson, who just so happens to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Kathy Rush, the legendary Kathy Rush, was there to watch her grandson, and she addressed everybody. And there's, just like Joe Crawford, Hall of Fame of people in my life, Joe Crawford, Kathy Rush. So we appreciate that. And then just started to dabble with, where will I go? Right? I think I'm going to go to the Conshohocken semifinals. Sammy Jackson will be playing. Great. If you've never been there, you have to make that a stop. It's almost like hallowed ground, that small little tiny gym, and all the players who have come through there. I'm going to visit the Union Soccer Academy in Chester with Keith Wilford. Keith Wilford is a Widener College Hall of Fame lacrosse player, and now he is a mental coach in a way. And he's invited me to visit with them. Dr. Arnie Baskis, who has risen to the top in the American Cancer Society. And here's what's beautiful. The volunteer division. He's headed that up, and he's being honored South Jersey Night of Hope, and I will be in attendance because I'm going to tell you a story about Dr. Baskis' power. I had a friend of mine call me and tell me that he was going to die from cancer. I was shocked. I didn't know exactly how to answer. And I said, how can I help? He said, anything you can do. I made one call. Dr. Arnie Baskis. He put this coach on a path, the best treatments, the best this, the best that. And as much as I was stunned when I took the first call, the next call brought me to tears when he called me back. And he said, I'm cancer-free. Thank you. And I corrected him. I said, no. Thank Dr. Arnie Baskis. So Arnie, congratulations, Doc. Really great. A leader in the American Cancer Society. And other than that, we're going to be paying a little bit of attention to the 9-game homestand for the Fightins. Got to get the sticks working a little bit.
That bat's coming alive a bit.
Who knows? You have to remember, 45 innings, 2 games in San Francisco, 3 games, 44 innings, 3 games at home, 45 innings. We scored in 3 of those innings. 44 innings, 3 scoring innings. Recently, a little bit hot. I'll tell you who's really hot, though. Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Starting to figure it out.
Remember, he will finish in the top 3 of MVP voting this year. That's my prediction.
Okay. I thought maybe you're going Andrew Painter because I think that's been a pleasant surprise.
Painter's impressive, but and maybe one day they'll rise to the level of being a guest. Will make a difference, measuring up to Joe Crawford. Next week's guest.
I don't know.
I don't know about.
I don't know, man. That might be.
It might have to be an episode, and several episodes because
it could be a two-parter. And we say about everyone, but a few, I would say, people close to me. I kind of in conversation said, I think we might be getting who on, and they're like, "You got to be freaking kidding me!" And I said, "We're pretty excited.
It's
gonna be entertaining.
We're pretty close." So
that's definitely one we're checking out next week. But
and this one,
yeah, you got to sink your teeth into this one first. If you Joey Crawford, a Hall of Famer, legendary NBA ref, a really, really fun time chatting with him.
Yes.
And next week, we'll just leave it at that. I think that might turn some heads a little bit. Definitely got a fun one coming up. If you want to get in touch with Phil, if you're looking to help him make a difference, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That is where you can help Phil by telling him your story, and hopefully he can help you make a difference in the classroom, in the workplace, on or off the court. We are at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X. Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, we'd really appreciate that 5-star rating. And if you're looking for that Martelli Minute, it is every morning at 6:30 a.m. on Instagram at Phil_Martelli. Phil, that's all I got for you. I think we got one last thing to do.
Go Phils.
Go Phils.